Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We do appreciate it. Looks like we need a few more pictures taken, and then we should be able to start. We have a full house with mostly really good things happening and great promotions and introductions, and we do appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you, board. Welcome back from our summer vacation there from meetings. I know it's been said, we took the summer off. That didn't happen. We did skip 2 meetings, though. Staff obviously was continuing to work full time, and the trustees were manning their emails during the break. So I appreciate everybody's efforts and welcome back. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has not disappeared. We'll be talking about that more. But as much as possible, please try to social distance. And again, we need to have masks back on. So we had a few meetings without masks, but we've returned to wearing masks inside Village Hall. So thank you, everyone, for complying with that. As always, the video of this meeting will be broadcast on cable television, YouTube, and will also be available on Facebook and posted to the Village website. At this time, I'd ask Clerk Saladino to call the roll as we call the meeting to order.
Trustee Augustine?
Here.
Trustee Gale?
Here.
Trustee Kutinik?
Here.
Trustee McGee?
Here.
Trustee Peterson?
Here.
President Kukler?
Here. And Clerk Saladino, we have a special guest, Eric White, a senior at LT High School, who's going to lead us in the pledge. And Eric and some of his classmates have organized a 5K for Saturday. He's going to talk a little bit about the 5K, encourage everyone to run. He's even guilted me into running. So he'll talk about that a little bit, and hopefully we'll get a lot of attendees there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Eric. If you could speak into the microphone so that everybody, not only here, but at home that's watching you on TV, now that you're a celebrity and all, can hear you. And tell us again about the organization, the race, first of all, and the details and how people can still sponsor and still participate, as well as what you're raising money for.
Yeah, of course. So in February of last year, I was fortunate enough to work with a club at LT, go to LT, called PSI, and we worked with Off the Street Club, which is an organization in Chicago dedicated to giving underprivileged kids access to after-school programs and different recreational activities to get away from potential gang and violence activities. Through this, we've been able to raise money for that organization. We're currently maxing out around $3,500, and it's this Saturday, August 28th. You can register at Race Roster or simply by looking up Run for Hope 5K on Google. This cause is really, really, really important. We personally believe, my team and I, that not only should people in this community help our own communities and the issues that we face in our own society, but others around us, because we live as a Chicago community as a whole. And that's something that we should help not only us who are fortunate enough in this room to stand here, but also kids who aren't as fortunate. So if you would like to get involved, we encourage you to register. I currently have flyers here that I can hand out to those who might be interested. And we really encourage you to help out one way or another, whether that's by donating, registering, or coming to volunteer in the race. There's contact information on the website if you would like to get involved, and we urge everyone here to try to contribute in some way. Thank you.
Thanks. You can just leave them with the village manager or leave them maybe on a chair and people can grab them, whichever easiest. Thank you very much. Earlier tonight, I had the pleasure to meet with Commissioner Frank Aguilar, Cook County Commissioner Franco Aguilar. He's been working very closely with the village with one of our primary issues. He's our Cook County Commissioner, along with Commissioner Morrison. So he helps us in a lot of ways. But as everybody that lives in the village knows, flooding is really a top priority. And so first, Congresswoman Newman told us that maybe the county could help. And then we reached out to Commissioner Aguilar, and he's been very helpful. He's trying to secure grant money for us that would go a long way to solving our problems. So I appreciate Commissioner Aguilar first meeting with me and introducing himself to the board, and again, for your continued efforts. So please, if you could address us.
Thank you, President Kukla and Clerk Saladino. It's my pleasure to be here. I visit every one of my district's towns and try to give a report and try to visit every single town. And young man, it's nice to see this. Nice, like to see the youth working hard and getting involved in the community. And it looks like you're doing a real good job. And I know someday I'm going to be asking you for a job. Okay, so very good. Mr. President and distinguished board trustees, I'm here to give you just a quick report. Through the American Rescue Plan, Grange received a total of $1,898,000,000. So if you contact my office, you should have gotten it by now. I think it's split in two ways. You should be getting one payment this year. The next one will be later on in I think 2022, the second payment. We've been working very closely with Walgreens and Cook County Health to provide vaccines throughout my district. In fact, out of all the districts, I had the most testing areas and the most vaccines. But it seems that we're come to a plateau where people really don't want to get vaccinated. And that seems to be a problem. But I'm working very closely with Cook County Health and Walgreens to maybe increase the number of vaccinations and really invite or encourage people to get vaccinated. If you have some events, and I guess you got to run this week, and I'm going to try to make it. I got some stuff going on Saturday, so I'll try to make it. If not, I'll give a donation to the run coming up this time. And I'm glad that you're having the pet parade. For this year, I thought I missed it. I used to come here pretty often. I do some shopping here, so I'm always hanging out at the barbecue place or at Palmer's, and great food here. So it's a great place to have. Real good. But one thing I want to say to the police department chief, you have a friend on the board. The police department has a friend on the board, especially now that everything's going on, and hopefully things are going to change. And I want to congratulate the sergeants that are going to have be sworn in. Congratulations, and thank you very much for your serving and protecting our communities. And more of us should thank our police officers. Everyone should thank our police officers. You're out there every single day, risking your lives, making sure that we're safe, and that's why we can sleep at night. And I think the whole country should start realizing that, and it's about time. So congratulations, thank you, and God bless you. And real quick, I met earlier with Congresswoman Newman, and we did talk about the flooding issue. Hopefully, getting some money to, it's a problem not just in LaGrange, but it's a problem in the western suburbs. It has to get done. I do encourage the trustees and Mr. President, bombard the county with letters. Bombard them. I have a meeting next week, I think, with President Perpingo, and we're going to be talking about some of the grants, some of the money. And it seems like all the common ground that I see with my district is the flooding. It's a big issue. So I will meet with her probably next week sometime. But I encourage you, bombard my email, bombard the county, and tell them, we want the money. All right. So
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Commissioner. As Commissioner Aguilar said, we did get some federal money. That federal money is based on population. We'll be getting it in 2 installments. We've reported in the past. The first installment of $1 million should be coming shortly. The second installment of a little over $1 million will be coming in 2022. We do appreciate the efforts of our elected officials in securing that money for our town. However, the money that we're looking for is in addition to that. and that would be specifically for infrastructure programs, and our infrastructure program would be, at this time, the flood relief. So we are going to be bombarding Commissioner Aguilar's email, as well as President Preckwinkle and anybody else that we can reach out to. And I know Dry Up LaGrange will be doing the same. You'll hear from a lot of residents that are anxious to see flooding. All of our residents realize that it's a regional problem, and it's really a problem that needs to be addressed by the county, by the state, and by the federal government. So thank you so much, Commissioner Aguilar, for coming here and addressing us. We do appreciate it. At this time, I'd like to recognize that I have appointed John Timothy O'Brien, Tim O'Brien, to be our newest trustee. Tim is a longtime LaGrange resident. He's been very active in LaGrange. He was president of the St. Cletus School Board. He was president of LaGrange Little League. He's been active with numerous organizations. I know that he'll be a great addition. And so I'd ask Tim and his family, who's ever here, to come forward for the swearing in. And Clerk Saladino, up. So we should do roll call on this? And I would entertain a motion to consent to my appointment of Tim O'Brien.
I'll motion that we consent to your appointment of Tim O'Brien.
Thank you, Trustee Augustin. Thank you, Trustee McGee. Now a voice vote or roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. And if we could have the O'Briens come forward, that'd be great. Looks like Tim's here with his wife, Jennifer. We welcome Jennifer and thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Timothy O'Brien, Tim,
Having been appointed to the office of trustee
having been appointed to the office of trustee
in the village of LaGrange,
in the village of LaGrange,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of the village trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Trustee O'Brien, welcome to the dais. We're thrilled that you're joining us. Again, the reason that we are so spread out, it's for social distancing. Someday we will all have everybody coming in joining us. And our tradition is always the newest trustees are on the edge. So that's why Trustee Peterson and Trustee O'Brien are in the seats where they're at. But again, will be joining us up here, hopefully very soon. I know that Trustee O'Brien knows this because he was president of Little League. But my next thing that I get to do is recognize Coach Kara Doyle. Coach Doyle was one of two people that were picked or selected as Coach of the Year by the Little League of America. So she was one of two people in the whole country to be selected Coach of the Year. She's a local resident, and we're very proud of her. LaGrange Little League has indicated that Coach Doyle leads with respect and integrity, cares deeply about the development of the young girls in the program, builds their confidence and self-esteem, and helps them build a love for the game of softball. She's a longtime leader, and she really inspires all the young women to reach their potential. We couldn't be more proud of her, and we really appreciate her commitment. And it's these things that are so special and make LaGrange such a great place to raise your family. So again, congratulations to Coach Doyle, and we do appreciate her for her services. Next on my list of recognitions is this recognizing the 75th anniversary of the LaGrange Pet Parade. So we have several people here for the Pet Parade. Of course, Bob and Susan Breen, a longtime organizers of the Pet Parade. The Pet Parade Charities President, Lindsay Paulus, and also her husband, Dave, are here. The parade director, Molly Price, and Molly works on this Pet Parade all year long to make sure it's the best parade that we have, that there is really in the state of Illinois, and we appreciate it so much. And then committee members, we have Ben Boyd, Steve Story. There's also Steve Palmer, of course, is here, and Lynn Lacey, who obviously brings so much to the village, and we appreciate all that she does, as well as her work on the Pet Parade. So maybe if some of them or all of them can come forward while we recognize the Pet Parade, that would be great. Yep, I need a motion and a second for approving a resolution recognizing the 75th anniversary of the LaGrange Pet Parade.
I move we accept the resolution regarding the Pet Parade.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale and Trustee Peterson.
Got one in.
We have two things. I'm going to be reading the resolution, but I also want to hold up, and this will be a sign that will be going in our parking garage, recognizing the Pet Parade in their 75 years. So we're excited to hang that up, and we do appreciate all the work that goes in to having really our biggest event. So the resolution, whereas on June 19th, 1947, the first LaGrange Pet Parade was organized and held in downtown LaGrange by the LaGrange Chamber of Commerce and then Chamber President Ed Breen. And whereas at the second year of the LaGrange Pet Parade, over 600 children participated along with companions such as cats, dogs, horses, and even chipmunks. And whereas the LaGrange Pet Parade quickly grew in popularity, and in 1949 drew in a reported crowds of 15,000 spectators who came to enjoy the unique event. Whereas in 1952, an estimated 30,000 spectators attended the event, which was covered by the national news outlets and featured celebrities from television and radio. And whereas the leadership of the Pet Parade passed from the originator, Ed Breen, to his son, Bob Breen, in 1996. Bob, Ed, and other members of the committee oversaw the creation of the nonprofit Pets and Pals Charities in 1999 to ensure the parade's continuum. And whereas Pets and Pals Charities was renamed to Pet Parade Charities Limited in 2016. And whereas the LaGrange Pet Parade is organized by a dedicated board of local volunteers who contribute their time and expertise to ensure a successful event year after year. And whereas the LaGrange Pet Parade is a signature event of LaGrange, which continues to be a source of pride to the greater area. And now, therefore, be it resolved by President and Board of Trustees, the Village of LaGrange, Cook County, and State of Illinois, that the Village of LaGrange recognizes the LaGrange Pet Parade on their 75th anniversary and expresses gratitude for the positive contributions that the Pet Parade has made to the community. So if I could ask for a voice vote, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none, of course, the resolution passes. We appreciate all of the work that the Marines have done, and we're going to hand you our things. But if you'd like to say, I'd welcome you to say a few words if you'd like. Molly or...
I am honored to be here tonight. This is just a humongous honor for us. And thank you very much for all the village has done to get us to this point.
Thank you, Bob.
I would just like us to recognize Bob and Susan Breen and everything that they have done to keep this parade going for so many years. So if we could just give them a big hand.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
Next, we have the exciting news of the appointment of 3 sergeants. We're very proud of our police officers and all the hard work that they do. But these 3 worked really, really hard to earn the promotion to sergeant. They had to take exams, they had to be interviewed, and they had to be selected. And there were many qualified candidates on our force, and we're really proud. So at this time, I would first bring forward Sergeant Sabrina Irizarry. And again, if there's anybody that wants to accompany the sergeants, feel free to come on up. And we're going to have Clerk Saladin. Please come up if you're... And Clerk Saladino will swear in the sergeant.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, Sabrina Irizarry,
having been appointed to the office of Police Sergeant
to the office of Police Sergeant
in the village of LaGrange,
in the village of LaGrange,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And again, just a little background on Sergeant Irizarry. She's been with the village and the police department for nearly 8 years. She began her career in the September of 2013. She served as field training officer and as a member of the crisis intervention team. She holds a number of state certificates to include evidence technician and juvenile specialist, and she currently manages the department's recruiting program. She's a graduate of Loyola University with a bachelor's degree in political science. She subsequently attended DePaul University, where she got her master's degree in public administration. And so we're very proud of her on the force, and we appreciate the sacrifices that she endures daily to protect us. So thank you very much. Next, I would call forward Sergeant Ryan Nemechek and anyone who wants to join with him.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Nemechek,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of police sergeant
to the office of police sergeant
in the village of LaGrange
in the village of LaGrange
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of police sergeant
the duties of the office of police sergeant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Sergeant Nemechek has been with the village for more than 6 years. He began his career in LaGrange Police Department in June of 2015, has served as a squad leader, field training officer, and truck enforcement officer. The residents appreciate your work in that regard, I assure you. He holds a number of state certifications to include Level 1 Accident Investigator, Emergency Vehicle Operator Course Instructor, and Rapid Deployment Instructor. He is an advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement officer and a juvenile specialist. Ryan graduated from Governor State University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and we appreciate your dedication and sacrifice, as well as your wife, who I know sacrifices when you leave the house every day. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Next up is Patrick Fula. Patrick has been with us for a long time, and I guess that's why they picked him last to come forward, since it was 20 years in the making. But please.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patrick Fulla,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of police sergeant
to the office of police sergeant
in the village of LaGrange
in the village of LaGrange
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of police sergeant
the duties of the office of police sergeant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant Fulla has been with the village for almost 20 years. But let me first start out by recognizing his parents who came today. I'm sure you're very proud. We're very proud of your son, wonderful officer. We're looking forward to his talents as sergeant. He's been great for our village. It's obviously a long-time public servant, and we appreciate his dedication and professionalism. And so thank you. Again, Sergeant Fuller has began his career in LaGrange Police Department in October of 2001. Prior to being hired in 2001, Sergeant Fuller was an auxiliary officer and spent approximately 18 months volunteering his time patrolling LaGrange. Sergeant Fuller has spent the last 3 years in investigation unit. As an investigator, he has been involved in a number of significant cases and worked closely with other area police agencies as a member of the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force, as well as the Major Case Assistance Team. Sergeant Fuller has served as squad leader, field training officer, and school resource officer. He holds a number of state certificates to include lead homicide investigator, level 1 truck enforcement officer, rescue task force instructor. He's a gang specialist and a juvenile specialist. Currently, Sergeant Fuller is working towards his associate degree. We appreciate your work and your sacrifice, and again, your professionalism and dedication. As Commissioner Aguilar said, our police officers day in and day out work to protect us, to serve us. We appreciate all of their dedication. From the chief down, we do appreciate the work. We know it's a sacrifice, not only for you, but for your whole families, and it is very much appreciated. So thank you very much. Keeping with the police department, it's my absolute privilege to be able to recognize a group of officers and provide them with a police department unit citation. On July 22nd of 2021 at 8:04 p.m., officers were dispatched to report of a suicidal subject. Upon their arrival, they observed the individual seated in the driver's seat of her parked vehicle. The driver's door was open, and a counselor was attempting to persuade her to accept assistance. As the officers approached, they observed that the occupant of the vehicle was holding 2 knives. Officers immediately moved the counselor to safety and established a perimeter to ensure the safety of the community. They requested the response of paramedics and directed them to stage until it was safe for them to approach. The officers utilized crisis communication skills to establish constructive dialogue and elicit compliance. The officers succeeded in their efforts to de-escalate the incident, and the subject was subsequently taken into protective custody without the application of force. The actions of the officer in response to a tense and very unpredictable situation bring credit upon themselves, the LaGrange Police Department, and the Village of LaGrange. In recognition of exemplary service, we as the village hereby award the LaGrange Police Department Unit Citation to Sergeant Izazari, Officer Kevin Comstock, Officer Laura McDermott, Officer Mike Kaiser, and Officer Casey Gamazorik. This is Officer Comstock and Officer McDermott's second unit citation award, and I believe it will be presented by Chief Cates. Thank you, officers, for your work on that day. You truly saved a life, and it's appreciated by her, her family, and the whole community. So thank you very, very much. Moving on, it's thank you. It is my pleasure to be able to introduce a proclamation for the Community Diversity Group's 30th Annual Race Unity Rally. The Community Diversity Group of LaGrange will hold its 30th Annual Race Unity Rally on Sunday, September 12th, 2021, beginning at 3 p.m. The Community Diversity Group has asked the village to proclaim Sunday, September 12th, as Race Unity Day in LaGrange, and we're happy to do so. The annual Unity Rally is a recognition and appreciation of the village's diversity and to celebrate the village's rich history and contributions made by all of its residents. The Village of LaGrange and LaGrange Police Department have a commitment to serving every member of our community with integrity, professionalism, and equity. Again, for more information regarding the LaGrange commitment, please visit our webpage at www.lagrangil.gov. I would ask that there be a motion and a second for the proclamation.
A motion that we accept the proclamation for Community Diversity Group.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. And thank you, Trustee McGee. And a voice vote, all in favor.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, of course, the proclamation passes unanimously, and I'd like to read it into the record because we do appreciate all the efforts on such a hardworking group. Whereas the 30th Annual Race Unity Rally is an event to reaffirm the commitment to achieving race unity in LaGrange and surrounding communities. Whereas this year, the Community Diversity Group calls the village together for an uplifting weekend celebration of human diversity culminating with Race Unity Day. And whereas the concept of unity and diversity is deeply rooted in the fabric of our American society, whereas progress has been made in the legislative arena, we continue to work to bring us together on a personal level. And whereas Race Unity Rally will demonstrate the commitment of the people of the Village of LaGrange and surrounding communities to the principle that all are created equal and come together in recognition of the oneness of humanity. Now, therefore, I, Mark Kukler, President of the Village of LaGrange, and we, the Board of Trustees of the Village of LaGrange, do hereby proclaim that Sunday, September 12th, 2021, is Race Unity Day. I would ask that, I know we have a group, let me get my list so I don't forget anybody. Someplace. I would ask that Marion Hunnell Wilson, Linda Eastman, Harold Gibson, Becky Lawrenson come forward, and if anybody wants to say a few words about the weekend, I'd encourage them to do so.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Community Diversity Group, we just want to invite everyone in the village to come out and learn a little bit about the history of LaGrange and just enjoy each other's company as we do every year, except when there's a pandemic. So we're happy to be back in person this year, and we look forward to seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. And in addition to the Unity Rally, we have quite a few different activities going on. I think you have a flyer. I don't know if it's posted on the website, but we'll have some copies if anyone would like them, including a movie at the library on Friday, on 13th, with a discussion, a story hour for kids on Saturday, and we're having a special code that will take you to different historical places of families from the African American community who have contributed greatly to our communities. So we invite you to look at the flyer and to join us at the rally. And thank you for all your support.
Thank you. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're also having special events during beginning Tuesday, August 31st. And this year's theme, again, is racial healing through understanding our history.
That is correct. The Tuesday, August 31st, is a discussion on the book Caste. And I think it's still okay to come even if you haven't read it. So very interesting book about comparing caste in India to being African American here. Thank you.
And I think pizza's going to be served, so that'll probably get some more people to come.
Right.
Not that the topic isn't worthy in itself, but pizza always helps. And then the movie, The 13th, is going to be on September 10th. Diversity Story Time at the Grange Public Library on September 11th. The annual Race Unity Rally on Sunday, September 12th, beginning at 3 o'clock here in this auditorium. So we do appreciate that. Any of the events, did I miss any?
Just to clarify, the pizza is with the movie on September 10th, and the August 31st book discussion is on Zoom, and you can register for that at the library website.
Fantastic. Thank you for the clarification. I do appreciate it. And again, as we said when we were recognizing the police, the village and the police department do have a commitment to serving every member of our community with integrity, professionalism, and equity without regard to their race, religion, orientation, or housing status. We appreciate your organization for all the work that they do, along with our police department, to really make it, again, the finest village to raise our families. So thank you very, very much. Continuing on. It would not be August 2021 if we didn't talk a little bit about the coronavirus. So let me start right in on that. On July 27th, the Illinois Department of Public Health announced that it adopted the CDC's recommendation to protect against COVID-19 and the Delta variant. The CDC recommends that everyone, including fully vaccinated individuals, wear a mask in public indoor settings. In general, the CDC does not recommend people wear masks outdoors unless they are not fully vaccinated or unable to maintain a 6-foot physical distance. To help reduce the spread of COVID-19, the CDC recommends that you get vaccinated, avoid crowds in poorly ventilated areas, maintain social distancing, and monitor your daily health, and avoid leaving your home if you're experiencing any of the known COVID-19 symptoms. The Illinois Department of Public Health has launched a new immunization portal called Vax Verify that allows Illinois residents 18 years and older to recheck their COVID-19 vaccination record. The Cook County Department of Public Health announced that all individuals, regardless of vaccination status, are required to wear a mask indoors starting today. The order requires all people above the age of 2 who can medically tolerate a mask to wear one. Masks may be removed at eating and drinking establishments by patrons when they are actively eating and drinking. The order will be in effect for the duration of the COVID-19 public health emergency as declared by the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, or until such time as Cook County Department of Public Health makes a determination that the threat to public safety has diminished to a point that the order can be safely repealed. Again, for more information, you can go to the Department of Public Health's webpage at dph.illinois.gov or covid.cdc.gov for additional information. As many people know, and our village has put up signs, the students are going back to school. Some start tomorrow. Most have already started, many today and yesterday, some last week. That creates challenges. The students are sometimes distracted on their way to school. We need to make sure our drivers are not distracted. We have a program started by our police department, Be the Change, Travel Safe in LaGrange, traffic safety campaign. We would like to remind the public that this week and next week marks the return to school, so please, be the change, travel safe in LaGrange. Traffic and pedestrian safety is a priority for the village. Again, for more information regarding the pedestrian safety campaign, as well as motorist and pedestrian safety tips, visit our website. September 11th, as we all know, is Patriots Day. Patriots Day gives us all time to reflect on the devastating terror attacks that took nearly 3,000 lives. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. The bravery of American citizens and first responders will be remembered on this National Day of Service and Remembrance. The Robert E. Coulter American Legion is planning a commemoration event on September 11th at 10 a.m. at the Countryside Village Hall. And we encourage everyone that can, please come out to that event or at least take a moment to remember and honor the fallen. Thank you. And then last, but definitely not least, is stormwater. We've had devastating flooding, and it's definitely a priority. We again thank Commissioner Aguilar for coming out tonight and meeting with us. And to provide a brief update, on June 26th, again, the village experienced a significant storm event that resulted in widespread flooding throughout the village. At the village board meetings on June 28th and also on July 12th, the village heard comments from residents that incurred damages and losses. Photos and videos were also provided by residents documenting the impacts of the storm event. The village has identified projects to help reduce flooding, each of which has its own set of challenges, costs, and benefits. A summary of the village's storm sewer system and relief sewer projects were provided by the village engineer at the June 28th meeting and are located on the village website. LaGrange cannot undertake significant stormwater management projects alone, as we need our regional partners and outlets for the water. Therefore, we are continuing to work closely with our elected leaders and partner agencies like the MWRD, which is the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, the Illinois Department of Transportation, Cook County, including Commissioner Aguilar, to implement regional solutions that further identified in proposed projects. Over the last several weeks, the village has continued its efforts to identify funding for flood mitigation projects through legislative, legal, and engineering initiatives. In addition to the 50th Street Relief Project, I personally have met with a number of elected leaders to discuss other flood control initiatives, such as the Maple Avenue Relief Sewer, connections to the deep tunnel, inclusion of the flood mitigation measures as part of IDOT roadway, as well as meeting with Commissioner Aguilar. Specifically, I've met with MWRD officials and MWRD Commissioner Mariana Spiropoulos, as well as Illinois State Representative and House Republican Leader Jim Durkin and Senator John Curran. I also met with Congressman Marie Newman and a representative of the LaGrange Country Club. As many people know, Congressman Newman came out last week and had a town hall meeting here, and we appreciate her coming out. And at that meeting, she again referenced or recognized that flooding in LaGrange was a problem. She again, as a lot of people know, it's a regional problem, and she is working hard to help us secure the funding that will provide the solution for this problem. The village has also submitted funding requests for stormwater management projects to Cook County and to other legislators. I've also met with residents, including the Dry Up LaGrange group, and we'll continue to work with them to find localized flood mitigation projects. The potential ideas have all been passed to our village engineers and will require further study. The village is also, and I have personally met with School District 105, the board president, as well as the superintendent. We'll be meeting with School District 204, LT High School, to discuss potential flood mitigation partnership opportunities over the next several weeks. As previously reported, the 50th Street Relief Sewer Project was stopped and has been delayed due to litigation filed by Lehigh, Hanson, Quarry, and McCook. The village continues to be actively engaged in ongoing court proceedings. There has been some talk about settlement discussions. Currently, there's a date being kicked around, I would say, for a mid-October date for mediation before a retired federal judge. While I remain hopeful that a settlement can be reached, I have instructed our attorneys to continue to pursue the litigation, that we have to operate on parallel tracks. We cannot slow down the litigation in the hopes of a settlement being reached. We need to push forward on both. It will be wonderful, again, if a fair settlement is reached. However, if not, the village will be prepared to litigate and have a judge decide what should happen with our stormwater. Again, a status report regarding litigation was provided at the June 28th village board meeting, and a copy of a recent court decision is located on our website. That was the order denying the quarry's motion for summary judgment. Again, the village is planning a public workshop to discuss stormwater management on September 13th at our normal board meeting. We expect that a representative from MWRD will be in attendance to answer some questions or address the situation. Our litigation attorney will also be there, as well as village engineers. We're very excited. We've recently made an offer to the LaGrange resident to be the Department of Public Works chief, and we're in the process of finalizing that. So we do believe that although Russell does a great job, we're now going to be able to use Russell and somebody else to help, and we're looking forward to that. So again, we appreciate everything Russell's doing for us, but it's not really fair to ask him to wear two hats and a lot of tall rain boots, but we do appreciate you, Russell. Thank you very much. And with that, I will pass the microphone gladly to Village Manager Peterson to see if there's a village manager report.
Thank you, President Kukler. As you noted earlier, the village has a commitment to inclusion and service to every member of our community. Employees of the village are trained to reinforce these tenets in all of their interactions with the public. As an equal opportunity employer, the village works to attract and retain a diverse workforce through community connections and outreach efforts. The village has additional information about our commitment to community on our website. And with your concurrence, Mr. President, I would like to ask Police Chief Jason Cates to provide more information regarding how the police department continues to focus on furthering these efforts.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. On March 22nd, 2018, the NAACP Illinois State Conference and the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police agreed to 10 shared principles designed to build trust between law enforcement and communities of color. On August 23rd, 2018, Chief Bluter adopted these same 10 shared principles and thereby added the LaGrange Police Department to the historic agreement between the Illinois NAACP and the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. To date, the 10 shared principles have been adopted by 275 police departments throughout Illinois. Tonight, we distinguish ourselves from each of those agencies. Last week, the Deputy Chief and I asked every member of the police department, both civilian and sworn, to affirm their commitment to the 10 shared principles. To date, every member of the department that has had the opportunity to sign the document has done so. Only a handful remain. Tonight, it's the men and women of the LaGrange Police Department that affirm these principles. And in doing so, they have each asserted their commitment to the community. Together, we vow by mutual affirmation to work together and stand together to promote and, more importantly, demonstrate our devotion to these principles. I'd like to briefly share 2 examples of our demonstrated devotion to the 10 shared principles. The 9th principle states, we support diversity in police departments and in law enforcement profession. Law enforcement and communities have a mutual responsibility and should work together to make a concerted effort to recruit diverse police departments. In June of this year, in an effort to demonstrate our commitment to the 9th principle, we implemented significant changes to our recruiting process. We established a recruiting team. That team worked with the LGBA, the Community Diversity Group, Unity Partnership, universities, community colleges, and local businesses to reach a larger, more diverse pool of police applicants. We developed and promoted an inclusive recruiting statement. The LaGrange Police Department is seeking a diverse pool of applicants for the position of police officer. Our goal is to attract, develop, and retain the best and brightest from all walks of life and backgrounds. We believe every member of our police department must feel respected, be treated fairly, and be provided the opportunity to excel. In response to input from the community, we extended the application period from 3 weeks to 7 weeks. It's our hope that the additional time will provide us with the opportunity to attract a larger, more diverse pool of applicants. We established a process that provided our team with the ability to issue coupon codes at job fairs and community events. The coupon code provides the candidate with an application free of charge. Additionally, we ensured the online application fee waiver request was prominently placed on our third-party employment page. The application period closes on August 27th. I know the team has worked diligently, and I'm confident their efforts will prove to be successful. The 10th principle states we believe de-escalation training should be required to ensure the safety of community members and officers. We endorse using de-escalation tactics to reduce the potential for confrontations that endanger law enforcement officers and community members, and the principle that human life should be taken only as a last resort. Our officers continue to receive training in crisis intervention, crisis communications, and de-escalation. In 2020, the LaGrange Police Department generated or responded to 13,493 calls for service. Those incidents resulted in 74 criminal arrests. In 2021, to date, the LaGrange Police Department generated or responded to nearly 10,000 calls for service. Those incidents have resulted in 54 criminal arrests. In response to more than 23,000 calls for service and 128 criminal arrests, our officers have utilized physical force in response to resistance on only 7 occasions. The highest level of force used was a weaponless, empty-hand control tactic, most often a leverage technique. The extremely low frequency in which physical force is relied upon by our officers speaks to their ability to consistently de-escalate potentially violent confrontations. Earlier this evening, we recognized 5 of our officers for one such incident. The recent events of civil unrest have shown us all that there is a serious need to have difficult discussions about policing within our communities. Police department operations must be transparent and be conducted with a goal of mutual respect for everyone involved. The men and women of the LaGrange Police Department are committed to achieving this goal. Thank you, President Kukler. Thank you, Manager Peterson.
Thank you, Chief Gates. And thank you to your whole department. We do appreciate it. We know their commitment to all the things that you mentioned. They do have our respect and appreciation. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, President Kukler. The Village Hall will be closed on Monday, September 6th in observance of the Labor Day holiday. Normal business hours will resume on Tuesday, September 7th. As always, a full complement of public safety personnel will be available in the event of an emergency. Also, in observance of the Labor Day holiday, on Monday, September 6th, residential refuse collection service will take place one day later than regularly scheduled during that week. Residents north of 47th Street will, with a normal pickup on that Monday, will receive refuse collection services on Tuesday, September 7th, and residents south of 47th Street with normal pickup on Thursday will receive refuse collection services on Friday, September 10th. Also, the next free monthly brush pickup for LaGrange residents will begin on Tuesday, September 7th. If you have any questions or for more information regarding brush pickup, please visit the Village's website or call the Public Works Department, 708-579-2328. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manager Peterson. At this time, I would ask Clerk Saladino to read the items on the consent portion of the agenda, followed by items under the current business.
Matters on the consent agenda will be considered by a single motion and vote because they've already been considered fully by the board at a previous meeting or have been determined to be of routine nature. Any member of the Board of Trustees may request that an item be moved from the consent agenda to current business for separate consideration. Item A, Ordinance Design Review Permit Number 113 for 100 West Callender Avenue, Oak Properties Limited Partnership. Item B, Award of Contract and Materials Purchase for the Central Business District Streetscape Improvements. Item C, Award of Contract 2021 Sewer Repair and Lining Program. Item D, Award of Contract 2021 Sewer Televising Program. Item E, Street Condition Survey Update. 1, Engineering Task Order. 2, Local Public Agency Engineering Services Agreement. And 3, Resolution for Improvement under the Illinois Highway Code. Item F, Agreement 2021 Holiday Season and 2022 Winter-Spring Public Relations and Marketing Services. Item G, Agreement Shawmut Avenue Engineering Task Order. Item H, Agreement Stone Avenue Train Station. 1, Local Public Agency Engineering Services Agreement Supplement. 2, Local Public Agency Amendment Number 1 for federal participation. And 3, Engineering Task Orders. Item I, Resolution Request to close LaGrange Road for the Pet Parade. Item J, Minutes of the Village of LaGrange Board of Trustees regular meeting on Monday, July 12, 2021. Item K, Consolidated Voucher 210726. Item L, Consolidated Voucher 210809. And item M, Consolidated Voucher 210823. The current business agenda includes consideration of matters being presented to the Board of Trustees for action. Item A, Special Event, West End Art Festival, Request for Approval. Item B, Ordinance, Variation, Prohibited Fence Locations, Heather and James Zeman, 5005 South Willow Springs Road. And item C, Temporary Use Approval Extension Request for 27 Callender Avenue, Pillars Community Health.
At this time, I would invite anyone in the audience that has any comments on the items that are listed on our agenda to please come forward and use the microphone, state your name and your address. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go first. My name is Heather Zeman. I am the addendum item 6B, the fence variation at 5005 Willow Springs Road. And before I get started, I do want to say thank you. At least I know some of the police officers have left for the evening, but the chief of police, if you could extend a thank you. Part of the reason for the fence variation is for an incident that occurred on my property. and several of the officers tonight were actually present when it occurred. So if you could extend that thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry, a little bit more people than the zoning board committee.
Don't worry, we're all just neighbors, so.
I understand, but it's still a little nerve-wracking.
I get it.
So as you've already seen from the agenda, I am asking for a fence to go to the sidewalk of the property at Willow Springs Road on February 25th. I did have an individual leave the hospital against, I'm assuming, doctor's orders. The individual did not have any clothing on and proceeded to make entry into our property and take up residence or refuge in our shed. We were alerted to the incident from the police responding from either a neighbor who had called and seen him or somebody who had seen the individual walking down Willow Springs Road. After that occurrence, I took better care in looking around the property because there was some medical debris left that evening. But in the weeks following, there was more and more medical debris. There was various other items, alcohol, condoms, so on and so forth. It is in the agenda. But I did want to say, I know the zoning board had some concerns with our request because I guess I've never filled out a variation request before a village. Didn't know exactly what I was doing. Maybe got a little nervous even at that last hearing where it was just a few people. But the conditions of my property which make it unique are I am the only property on Willow Springs Road in that section that's driveway goes out to Willow Springs directly. 2 neighbors to the south of me are 2 through lots. So I have a 6-foot privacy fence all along my south property line to the sidewalk. So I have one fence all the way out there. So it does extend past my house, but it is my neighbor's fence. Across the street is Western Springs, and all of their property has 6-foot privacy fences. So my driveway is the only one that goes out onto Willow Springs Road. My neighbor to the north of me, their driveway goes onto 50th. So they don't have the same, access. So it is that, those 2 things make it a unique occurrence. The other thing that the zoning board had issue with was they thought this would open the floodgates for others to ask for fencing in front of their homes. I am the 3rd request in 30 years. I don't know anyone else who's gonna wanna pay $2,000 and wait 5 months for them to get approval for the fence. So if they think a floodgate is maybe getting another one before the 40-year mark, I don't think that's really an issue. And I would just like to say, the zoning board also thought I was asking for a special privilege. I wasn't really. I'm just asking to keep my family safe. I'm asking to increase the property value of my property and those surrounding me by making it consistent with the houses across from me, next to me on the south. And I'm really just trying to make sure that I do keep my family safe. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Ms. Seaman, what we'll do is we'll introduce it, and then if the trustees have any questions, they'll always just invite you to back up.
Great, perfect.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your words. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone else. I would ask for a motion. Oh.
I'm a member of the Drive LaGrange group. So since the last board meeting, the Drive LaGrange group has grown to over 600 members, including on Facebook and through our email list. Our large platform has allowed us to keep the citizens appraised of important news and updates as they emerge. Furthermore, due to our size, we have become what is called as a known organization by elected officials, which basically means we have power behind our numbers at this point. We've had 2 full membership meetings, 1 leadership team meeting, 2 steering committee meetings, as well as many other prep meetings. We have distributed an informational flyer to every home in LaGrange providing flood facts and giving citizens call to actions such as completing surveys to request ARPA funding and reaching out to our elected officials at all levels. We have scheduled and attended meetings with MWRD Commissioners Shore and Davis, Senator Kern, Representative Durkin, U.S. Congresswoman Marie Newman, and former village trustee Bill Holder. Our scheduled upcoming meetings include MWRD Commissioner Marita and Sepulveda and Cook County Commissioner Aguilar. We are working hard to educate our leaders that LaGrange flooding is a regional issue and not local, and it is a matter of public safety to neighboring villages as well. In addition to elected leaders, we have met with a handful of concerned residents to discuss their individual flooding concerns as well. We have met with Kathleen Sullivan, the leader of the Elmhurst Citizen Group equivalent to Drive LaGrange, and we are working with the other group focused on quarry blasting and silica contamination. We have done countless hours of research on LaGrange files, MWRD files, U.S. Army Corps, and others. Through our work, we have identified potential short-term flooding solutions that we want studied by engineers, specifically underground retention areas similar to those that are being done in Elmhurst and what Western Springs Village Board has recently authorized investigating. Drive LaGrange wants to reiterate to the village and its members that we trust that the 50th Street Sewer Project will provide the greatest flood relief to the area. However, that is a long-term solution and one that is held up by litigation. LaGrange needs to move forward on supplemental short-term projects. We cannot sit on our hands and wait while our neighboring communities beat us to this race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steve Coppell. And as Allie said, we do believe that the 50th Street Sewer Project, along with completion of the Mars Project, are the most important long-term solutions we have for ending the flooding in LaGrange. But between the court battle and the funding issues, we need action, and sooner. Water Reclamation has told us that they are prioritizing projects that will hold water back past the peak flooding event so they can better manage the water. They're not interested in adding more water to the deep tunnel. Commissioner Shore said they have cost-sharing programs up to 50% that municipalities can apply for, and also special financing options as well. These projects could provide some relief to homes flooding while the legal and funding issues are being worked out. Should we not spend some of the bond money that is already sitting and available to us for flood mitigation issues that is already there? Doesn't need to be spent just on the sewer project. It's on flood mitigation. Elmhurst has built 3 below-ground bunkers through Christopher Burke, the same engineering firm that has now been retained by the Village of LaGrange. Western Springs, as Allie said, authorized a study earlier this year, and they're now in the process of determining how they can install one for the Springdale neighborhood, which also experienced severe flooding. Other communities like Wilmette have installed these along, and many other communities as well. You may know they go under parks, they go under open spaces, sports fields. Elmhurst has been building these. They don't take very long. In some cases, it's months, not years, like the 50th Street Sewer Project is going to take. So why do we need to do this now? Well, it's simple. We are out of time. 2 significant floods in 13 months, 4 in 10 years. It is not an acceptable position to just wait for the litigation to work its way through the courts. And this problem impacts everyone in LaGrange. It's a public health issue when flooded streets prevent emergency vehicles from reaching residents in their homes. Not to mention the contamination that ultimately ends up in our homes. And businesses in the village suffer from lower revenues during flood times, and when you cannot get down the streets. The village is struggling to control traffic in and around the village during the floods. And speaking of traffic, through the conversations that we've had with various officials in the village, we've learned that when there's a significant flooding event, they send 2 squad cars to the Ogden Railroad underpass. that sit there and prevent traffic from going through and causing a very serious problem. I don't know how many squad cars we have on duty at any given time, but 2 sounds like a lot to me. We do appreciate the proactive stance that Public Works is taking and has taken. I live on Spring Avenue. I have noticed significantly more street cleaning happening on my block. Also, barricades are being put out with some regularity, and we do appreciate that. But we know that that's not going to prevent flooding. That's just, helping out us who would otherwise be clearing the drains and trying to stop cars from driving through our neighborhood. Many members of this group are willing to work jointly with the village on a joint commission to help analyze and study ways to alleviate flooding until the big projects can be built. We are here to support you. Please let us help you. I ask the board to authorize Burke to do the study to determine whether or not these underground retention areas can alleviate flooding for some homes. We know it's not going to help every home, obviously. We have large parks in all of the areas and a lot of open spaces that can be used. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one additional why is...
You just got to state your name and...
Sorry, Glenn Thompson, Spring Avenue. So one additional why that's come to the group's attention in the last week, we now have at least one insurance company that is canceling policies for the citizens of LaGrange. If this trend continues and other insurance pick that issue up, that is going to become a major crisis for the village. As you know, you can't get a mortgage on your home if you can't get insurance. The only cash deals that could be done on homes would be, or sales on a home could be cash. So if other insurers follow this major nationwide insurer and canceling policies across the village, that is really going to be a crisis for the village. As Steve alluded to, we really must authorize a study to make some impact now. DULG is not here to say that we have an idea that will be an alternative to the sewers. No, we are saying it isn't time to see if we can put a change that would stop the water from flowing into homes and only flowing into streets. So in other words, if we can do something through storage lagoons or whatever to stop flooding water through basements and breaking out windows and only flood the streets, we would be happy with that until the 50th Street Sewer and the Marsh project can be completed. So, we look at the money. We have the money in the bank. The $12 to $14 million is sitting in the bank. We're not spending it. Why are we not spending that money? I know the board is having a conservative approach to the flooding issue and a conservative approach to our money. But really, we have to think about it. What are we really waiting on? From the conversations we've had with a lot of the officials around the village and different people, there seems to be even a disagreement or miscommunication amongst everyone here. Some people think that we can never build around the quarry as it would be too expensive to go through and build a ditch and bid in the extra lagoon. Others assume that we will never be able to make the pipe bigger that falls into the quarry and dump the water into the quarry. If the board can't get together on what they think is the best approach, how will the village ever move forward and have a straightforward approach or ever resolve this issue in a shortened amount of time? The other thing that we were informed of the day, and I don't think anyone in the village is aware of, the bond issue that was passed in 2015, according to a former village board member, has a 10-year time limit. Spend the money or give it back. So clock's ticking. We have about 3.5 years to spend that money and have it spent, or you're going to give it all back to the members of the village plus interest. That is not what the village wants. It's not anything that we need. We also know, because of the years of delay in this project and because of the COVID-induced inflation that we're seeing, and I'm sure Russell can speak well of this, we've seen massive increases in cost. Cement has gone up 17% since 2018. On the $14 million, that's $2.63 million. Just as that one example, the laborers union contract has gone up 26% in that time. So any contract we do, we know has to be rebid. We know we're going to have to start over. And I think it's now important that we stop kidding ourselves. This village, if we can't get funding from other areas and do something different, we're going to have to start looking at passing additional bond issues and also raising our sewer rates. We are lucky we have some of the lowest sewer rates in the area, but maybe it's time we give up that gift. The village or city of Elmhurst pays 7.69 cents per gallon or per hundred for sewage. We pay 1.73 cents. They're using that money to fund that. And if you think about raising our rate, raises I think we estimate between $14 and $20 million over 10 years that we could put back to the building the sewer. So I really think we need to look at that and get that doing. Congresswoman Newman is really working with MWRD. She's working with the state. I know she's approaching the county to come up with additional money, but I think it's very important that we as a village start to step forward, come up with some creative solutions and try something different to at least stop some of the flooding in the meantime so we can get the village moving. Again, we appreciate your time and thank you very much. And again, we look forward to working with the village on solving the problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I guess not on just items on the agenda, but any items. Seeing none, we'll break there for a second. I will say that I do believe the board can get together. I don't think there's division on this board at all. I think it's a priority for the board, the flooding issues. That again is why we have the September 13th meeting, so that we can discuss those issues in detail. So thank you for coming out. I appreciate not only you coming out, Dry Out LaGrange, but all your efforts. I think that Commissioner Aguilar is right and is speaking probably for all the elected officials that, they respond when they hear from their constituents. And I do think that Dry Out LaGrange is very, very good at contacting the elected people and telling them about the needs that we have. So I appreciate that. It's important, and I encourage that they continue to do that. And we'll continue as a village to work, attempting to secure funding, evaluating the proposals, the ideas, looking at them, and deciding with input of the residents what's the best path forward, or paths, plural, forward. So thanks again. At this time, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda in a second.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Kotinek.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale.
President Kukler, as previously stated, I recuse myself from voting agenda items related to our village prosecutor.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. Trustees, any other comments on the consent agenda portion? Seeing none, Clerk Saladino, I would ask you to conduct a vote.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Kotinek?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
And for the first time, Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Well done. Thank you, and the consent agenda passes unanimously. At this time, I would move on to current business. We have 3 items under current business. The first is a special event, the West End Art Festival, and I would refer that to Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler. Before I discuss a little bit about this special event request, I wanted to once again say, and I did this, feels like just yesterday, but it was probably a month or so ago, that I want to give thanks to our LaGrange Business Association for bringing these kinds of events to us, for running them, for paying for them, and for bringing great attention to our vibrant town. These are members of village businesses, owners of village businesses, some of which are LaGrange residents, and they go above and beyond what they do at work, do these events for the betterment of our village. They bring great excitement to town and bring lots of smiles to faces. So thank you guys all for what you do. The request this evening by the LaGrange Business Association is seeking approval to conduct the 25th Annual West End Art Festival. The festival is scheduled to take place on Saturday, September 11th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, September 12th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. As in years past, the event will celebrate performance and culinary arts in addition to the annual juried fine art show, which features nearly 50 artists. The Culinary Arts tent will offer cooking demonstrations from local chefs. The LaGrange Art League, LaGrange Historical Society, and local businesses will host interactive art activities and crafts for children. To further enhance the event, atmosphere, jazz musicians will play on the steps of the Stone Avenue Station throughout the event. The 2021 Summer Art Series, Come Sit, Stay, and Play in LaGrange will conclude with a live and silent auction of hand-painted doghouses and lounge chairs on Saturday. Those are the things that you've been seeing on the streets for the last couple of months, and they're beautiful. Funds raised from the sale of those items will benefit area charitable organizations. The festival is again proposed to be held on Burlington Avenue between Brainerd and Wyola Avenues, as well as in the park area surrounding Stone Avenue train station. Unlike past years, the event will not require closure of Wyola Avenue. The proposed site plan is attached for reference. If anyone would like to see that, they can download that from our website or grab an agenda that's here in the back of the room. The event will feature local food vendors. Additionally, the LGBA would like permission to sell and serve alcohol throughout the festival. Alcohol is proposed to be sold and served by the LGBA's licensed caterer, Palmer's Place, in the food court area. Liquor control will be at the point of purchase and closely monitored thereafter by catering staff and LGBA volunteers. Beer and wine only will be sold during festival hours. No open alcohol will be permitted to leave the area. So to make this all happen, the village will need to formally approve, 1, the closure of Burlington Avenue and a portion of Stone Avenue Station from 9 a.m. Friday, September 10th through 9 p.m. Sunday, September 12th. 2, we'll need the suspension of parking restrictions in Lot 13, located at the intersection of Burlington and Brainerd, from 9 a.m. Friday, September 10th through 9 p.m. Sunday, September 12th, to include allowances for overnight parking of event exhibitors' trailers. 3, suspension of parking time limitations for metered and 2-hour parking spaces surrounding the event area through the duration of the event. And 4, a waiver of restrictions for the outdoor display of and sale of goods and services in the C2 zoning district. There's some other separate liquor commissioner items that will need to be done and some other details, but in general, this is by the book. They've done this before. These are great events. They're well run, well attended, and we're lucky to have them. I enthusiastically support and move that we approve this special event as provided.
Second.
Thank you, trustees. It's appreciated. Trustees, any comments, questions? I know we have Steve Palmer here on part for this issue. And I know that everybody appreciates what a great event this is.
No questions. Just a quick comment that, one of the things I like about this particular event is it emphasizes that we host and work with the Business Association on events all around LaGrange, and this is much closer to my house. It's by the Stone Avenue train station, and it's just one of those nice events that just incorporates more of the village. So it's one of the ones I like the most. I like them all. But,
Well said, and I agree. Seeing no other comments, Clerk Saladino, if you could call a roll call vote.
Trustee O'Brien.
Yes.
Trustee McGee.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
Trustee Katina.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
And of course, it passes unanimously. Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate it. And as the trustee said, we enjoy the relationship we have with the LGBA and all the hard work that they do. Next up is an ordinance variation that we've heard a little bit about, prohibited fence locations, that is filed by Heather and James Zeman at 5005 South Willow Springs Road. And I would refer this to Trustee Gale.
Thank you, Mr. President. The petitioners, Heather and James Zeman, and Ms. Zeman is here tonight. I don't know if, James, are you here too? Oh, yeah, very good. They're the owners of the property at 5005 South Willow Springs Road. They've applied for a variation to construct a 6-foot-tall wood privacy fence between the front building line of the house and the front lot line. The zoning code allows for variations for fence height and/or placement. On June 29th, 2021, the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on the application. As our liaison, I attended that hearing as well. At the hearing, the petitioners testified that the requested variation will allow them to secure their property and protect people and animals on the property. The petitioners testified that the property's proximity to the hospital, the high school, and the busy street, Willow Springs Road / Gilbert, created the need for the fence in front of the house. The petitioners also testified that the lot was situated on a unique block. At the public hearing, no members of the public spoke about the application. The Zoning Board of Appeals found that the property's proximity to 2 through lots was unique. The ZBA also found, however, that the alternative fence layout, which is permitted by the zoning code, in combination with landscaping or vegetation, would achieve the petitioner's goals of securing the property. After the hearing was closed and the Zoning Board of Appeals deliberated, the ZBA voted 4-2 to recommend denial of the requested variation for the fence. The petitioners have submitted additional photos of the property taken at different times of the year, or excuse me, they have submitted additional photos. Those photos are included in attachment 1. Staff and the village attorney have prepared the attached ordinance that would approve the variance and authorize the variations if we so choose to vote that way. Because the Zoning Board of Appeals did not recommend the requested variation in this case, and is provided by state law, a favorable vote of 4 trustees is required in order to approve the ordinance and thus authorize the variation. The village president vote does not count in that 4. Any vote of fewer than 4 positive votes of the trustees is considered to be a denial of the ordinance and thus the variation. So I move for acceptance of the variation and the ordinance.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Trustee Gale and Trustee Kurtinik. I would open it up now to trustee comments and questions. Trustee Gale.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I said, I had the opportunity to attend the hearing, and I don't want to go through each of the, there's all these different elements to a zoning appeal. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of granting the zoning variance, and I'll give you a few of the reasons. One, this is a unique situation. It's an odd lot. The driveway is the only driveway in their block that goes onto Gilbert or Willow Springs Road. It's a very busy street. Across the street is all fences. They've got the neighbors to their northwest. They've got the high school. They've got the hospital as well. So those kind of things make it a very unique kind of circumstance for them. They have neighbors right directly south of them that have a fence right up to the sidewalk because their neighbors are some of their neighbors are on a through lot all the way to the other side where there's a cul-de-sac. So then, second of all, look, they're not able to enjoy, they're not able to enjoy the quiet enjoyment of their particular property. Most people don't have the circumstances they face, and this is why I think appeals of the zoning variances are allowed. And finally, one of the elements is always, does this keep with the code and the plan purposes? And even the petitioners mentioned the idea that this might open the floodgates to others wanting these appeals. This isn't the middle of a block. It's not the middle of pick a street, Wyola, where somebody right in the middle of the street wants to put a fence right up to their sidewalk. The ZBA would not approve that. We would not approve that. This is a unique, odd circumstance, and I think it's something we should approve.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Trustee Kurtinik.
Thank you, President Kukler. I also tend to agree with Trustee Gale. I'm going to go against what I normally do. I really value the expertise on these commissions. And I don't think in my time up here I've ever voted against their recommendation, but I think this is one where I tend to side with the minority of the ZBA, Commissioners Edwards and Bresnahan. I happen to live in the area, and I did a walkthrough of the property today, so if you saw a strange guy walking your property, I apologize, that was me. Well, if you would have had a fence, it wouldn't have been an issue. I couldn't have gotten in, but I agree with all of Trustee Gale's points. And Heather, you made the point before, if you go up and down that street, obviously to the west is Western Springs, and we don't abide by their zoning code, nor do they by ours. But every house has a fence there. Obviously, those are all backyards. This is a unique circumstance where the house is facing the opposite direction of everyone, with the exception to your neighbor to the north, and he's got a forest running along his front yard. So I'm going to make an exception of my normal approach to this. My apologies to the ZBA. Again, I value your work and appreciate it. I just happen to side with the minority of the vote on that, so I will be supporting the variation.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Kutinek. Trustee Peterson.
You hear me? I guess I didn't have that on. This question is directed to Charity. Can you please clarify for me what is considered to be the front of the property? What identifies it or defines it as the front of the property? Okay. And the ZBA did identify that there were alternatives that would address the goals that the homeowners were trying to achieve? Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler. I just want to say, got a lot of good ordinances in this town, and they're designed in a lot of cases for aesthetics. In the case of fence, to foster unified sight lines down the street. And I think that feather fence ordinances in particular, the front yard fences, are really good ones to have. However, much like Trustee Gale and Trustee Kotinek have said, in this case, we're looking at a really unique property. This is a property that if you didn't know better, as Trustee Peterson was asking, you wouldn't know the difference between the front and the backyard. Why can their neighbor to the south have a fence? Looks just like their property from the street. They aren't allowed it. It's because their house faces the short end and doesn't go all the way through to the back. There's a house to their south that goes all the way through to a street on the other side. They also are on their backyard is Willow Springs, their front yard is the street on the other side. So they get to have a fence in their backyard, but their backyard is your front yard. And to you, you'd like the fence for all the same reasons they would like a fence there as well. There are very, very few other properties in this village that could ask for something like this and truly claim that they are unique. And I think that the ruling that the ZBA came to is understandable. And they have a particular set of criteria that they have to follow and they have to meet. But in the end, for residents who choose so, they can come to us and we can make that final call. And so it falls to us to further examine and really think about it. And I do worry about precedents. We don't want that. But as we know, there's very few people that have asked for something like this. They know they'll get turned down. I don't think anyone would want to see a front yard fence in most of the areas of our community. It wouldn't look right. It's not necessary. I don't know that the danger factor is as much of an issue because there's a lot of houses near the hospital that don't have fences in their front yard. But this is different. There's some surrounding structures that give it cover that would maybe invite someone. It's again, it's a busier part of the street. It's right across from the high school, right near a park. Quite a lot of activity, and I believe you when you say that you are worried and concerned. So to grant them the right to do something very unique, to make them feel safer and to improve their property, and it certainly doesn't contribute to flooding, that's a little easier of a yes for me, so I would support and allow for this to happen. And again, as Trustee Kotinek said, I hate to be at difference with our Zoning Board of Appeals because I really value what they do as well. But in this case, I would side with the two commissioners on that group who thought that it should be granted. So that is my opinion there.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, I would ask Clerk Saladino to call a vote, a roll call vote.
Can we clarify, Clerk, that we're voting yes or aye to allowing, can you give me the language for the vote, please?
No, that's right. An aye vote would be in favor of the variance.
Correct, Counselor? Yes, so an aye vote is against the ZBA's recommendation and in favor of the homeowners.
Wanted to make sure, thank you.
Trustee Augustine?
So I'm an aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee Katina?
Aye. Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
No.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
And with 5 votes, it passes. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, again to Trustee Gale, a temporary use approval extension request for 27 Calendar Avenue, the Pillars Community Health. If you could introduce that, Trustee Gale, it'd be appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. On January 25th of this year, the village board granted a temporary use approval for Pillars to operate a medical clinic in the first floor of 27 Calendar Avenue in order to administer COVID vaccines. The approved temporary use allowed Pillars to operate the clinic for an initial period of 90 days with up to 4 extensions of 30 days each as approved by the village manager. The last of the allowable extension expires at the end of August. The zoning code section 9-103C includes, among a list of types of temporary uses, an other temporary uses category, which allows for other temporary uses that are consistent with the purpose and intent of section 9-103 and the zoning district in which the use is located. For the zoning code, any other temporary use requires approval by the village board of trustees. The Pillars building at 27 Calendar Avenue is located in the core of the C1 Central Commercial Zoning District. Medical offices and clinics are prohibited on the first floor. The purpose of the C1 district is to provide for the development and maintenance of a concentrated, pedestrian-oriented commercial shopping center with special provisions protecting in the core of that district the retail environment at street level. In January, the village board concurred with Pillars' assertion that due to the extraordinary nature of the worldwide pandemic, the proposed temporary use will assist in hastening a return to normal conditions, therefore supporting the purpose of the C1 district. As detailed in the attached letter of request, Pillars states that the additional space for the dedicated temporary vaccine clinic is still needed because their permanent locations are not large enough to accommodate the volumes of persons seeking vaccination, given the protocol for vaccinations, which include remaining on site for 15 minutes following vaccination, reduced occupancies due to social distancing requirements, and increased demand for COVID testing at the Pillars facility at 108 to 110 Calendar Avenue. Additionally, Pillars notes that a dedicated vaccine clinic reduces spoilage and that due to several factors, the need for vaccines is projected to increase in the coming months. And I think we can agree that need is increasing. Pillars requests that the village board renew the temporary use approval for the vaccine clinic for an initial period of 90 days through November 23rd, with up to 3 additional 30-day extensions that may be granted by the village manager, so potentially through February 23rd, 2020. Excuse me, 2022, going backwards. The approved temporary use allows Pillars to operate the vaccine clinic in accordance with the approved floor plan, up to 8 hours per day, Monday through Saturday, during the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with the following conditions. The use of the commercial space to administer the vaccines will be used solely for the purpose of administering the vaccines as a result of a need for additional facility space during the unprecedented public health pandemic. At all times, Pillar Community Health must operate the clinic in compliance with all county, state, and federal requirements, guidance, and best practices, including any necessary licenses, agreements, or other permits. The buildings must comply with all life safety and occupancy requirements, and occupancy inspection was required prior to operation. The village reserves the right to evaluate parking and traffic impacts of the temporary use at any time and require modifications to operations as necessary to ensure there is no adverse parking or traffic impacts to the central business district. and all temporary signage must comply with the size and placement requirements of the zoning code and may remain displayed for the duration of the temporary use. Section 9-103E of the zoning code lists limitations for all temporary uses, which are addressed in the attached letter from Pillars. If the village board finds that the proposed temporary use, as described herein and in the attached request letter, is acceptable, our staff has recommended retaining the above listed conditions for the temporary use approval. Representatives from Pillars are here. Do we have someone from Pillars? I guess not. We're supposed to be in attendance, but they can answer any questions. But regardless, I move for acceptance of the continued temporary use of the clinic.
I second that as well.
Thank you, Trustee Gale, Trustee Kutinik. And I would open it up to any questions, comments by the board. Seeing none, I would ask Clerk Saladino to conduct a roll call vote.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee Kutinik?
Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. And moving right along, before I open it up to trustee comments, first let me ask if there's anyone in the public here for matters not on the agenda. And it looks like Steve Palmer's racing to the podium.
Had I only known. I'm here today on behalf of LaGrange on the Summerfest as I was the chairman of this year's event, along with my dear friend and Park District former director, Dean Bissius. Just to report briefly, that it was a successful event and it couldn't have been done without the help of so many people. First thing, it's a collaborative event that was brought on, also spurred through the LaGrange 2020 project, and something that we needed to have this community event. We were very fortunate to have Nancy Cummins, who's with us here tonight, representing the LGBA, and the hard work that Nancy and all the LGBA members, the volunteers that came out and helped, including food vendors, et cetera, people that worked backstage, neighbors, friends, everybody we could get, but we couldn't do that without the help in that of the LGBA in their not only team of two, Nancy and Lori, but all the volunteers that they were able to get to come out and be a part of the event. Also, an incredible job by Jenny Benchfield and the people who is also here tonight, the executive director of the Park District of LaGrange, and the incredible work in this partnership that the Park District of LaGrange puts in, where we bring volunteers and help with gates and things like that. They bring the brawn, they bring people out, putting up fence, tables and chairs, a lot of heavy lifting and work that is done with the Park District staff, and this event could not happen without that collaboration working together. So we're so thankful to Jenny, who not only was a few months into her job taking on this big event, but her entire team who stepped up and just made it so easy to have this event for the Village of LaGrange. I want to thank Charity and her team for being a part of the organizing meetings and things like that, but a special person on her team, the health inspector, who I don't think gets a lot of credit, but sometimes the health inspector is one of the most important people. Kurt Trustner was out there and dealing with a couple new food vendors that had not been at an event like this before or participated. And instead of making it hard and difficult for them, he worked with them to get them open. He worked with them to keep them open and to keep everything safe for everybody who was attending. And that was just very, very great to see, because that could go the other direction quickly. So for a health inspector to take the time and say, I'll be back, let's get this going, let's fix this, let's do this, and I'll be back and check you again and do those things, was truly appreciated by all the food vendors, but especially those who were new for the first time out there. The LaGrange Police Department, you can't thank the men in blue and women in blue, I'm sorry, enough for what they do and what they did. Just their presence alone out there is a comfort to everyone in attendance, and that is so thankful. But also something you don't see very often, and I believe on 2 shifts that patrolling and working throughout the event, there was 2 guys in white shirts and a lot of stars on their collars. And so I want to thank the chief and deputy chief and let you know that they were also not only part of the process of planning it, but they actually came out and worked and were out there in support and in helping us protect the people of LaGrange that were there. There was also the Medical Volunteer Corps who came out and manned the first aid station. That was the first time, and that was so much appreciated. So, Mr. President, if you would please pass that along to them.
Absolutely.
Our fire chief, Vavra, and his team are always great. I want to give a special compliment to Chief Vavra and working with him. He came up with a disaster plan, an emergency plan that every chief does every year. This one you can actually read and use. It was a very good, easy to use, laid out plan for what we were going to do in case of an emergency or disaster. Fortunately, we never had to fully use it, but we did have conversations and we did have weather, and we were very careful in watching the radar, and we postponed the event for about 45 minutes just to make sure a cell went through safely. But that was through the chief's hard work, through getting that report out to us, but also working with us. He was on the scene during that time and was able to work with us, so we had a great outcome from that. Last but not least, you wouldn't know this, you'd have no idea, but there was a fence built around a water tower. And that fence built around a water tower is for safety, and it's a great thing there. But that wasn't there in the past fest. We didn't have one last year. So that's a brand new fence. That's how the stage gets in. That's to go right to where that fence is. That's how the stage gets delivered. It's the only way to get this massive truck in is through that direction and that spot. Now there's a fence there. If you're running a festival and you figure that out the week before the event, it makes you lose sleep trying to figure out how you're going to get a stage in, what you're going to do. Mr. Russell Davenport and the miracle team of the Public Works Department said, let us think on this, we'll see what we can do. Next thing you know, they built a road next to that fence and was able to get that truck through there in nothing flat. Nothing short of a miracle, nothing short of just being supportive and wonderful, but working with the Public Works Department and what they did all the way around, but including making this disaster go away was just incredible. So Russell, thank you for your quick thinking and for what your department did for us out there. Last but not least, I just want to thank the village for your support in allowing us to have this event. It was a success. Once again, the Park District of LaGrange and our LGBA volunteers couldn't be done without, it takes a village, without all of them out there. And also to you, Mr. President, and those trustees that volunteered, we do appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate your kind words. I appreciate you thanking our team in each department. You hit them all. You missed finance, but we'll let that one go. We know that you guys collected a lot of money, so that finance should be somewhere in there. But no, in all seriousness, thank you for your kind words. Our staff does just such a great job day in and day out. These festivals obviously occur on the weekends, they occur at night, and our staff just works. They volunteer, they go above and beyond, and we appreciate them. I know the community appreciates them. Jenny, great job with the Park District. You're doing fantastic there. We love working with you. We stole Tim O'Brien from you, and I know, but thank you. So thank you very much. And then Nancy to the LGBA, always such great partners. We appreciate all that they do. We've hired consultants, I've said in this past, and they really drill down to say, your job on a board is to create a sense of place. And these events create that sense of place. This is, in a 2021 COVID year, we've had 2 successful carnivals, creating a sense of place, allowing neighbors to meet, allowing people to get out of their house. And it's so great. I appreciate all the work, and I know the whole board does. So again, thank you very much. And next on our public comments.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Lynn McInerney, and this is Barb Critchlow. We are residents of Carriage Place condominium at 90 South 6th Avenue, your next door neighbors. And we have some concerns about traffic congestion in the driveway and the roundabout in back of our building. Over approximately the last 4 years, we've noticed an increase in the number of vehicles, trucks, the LaGrange Point bus cars parked in the roundabout. Because these vehicles are parked in the roundabout, delivery trucks can't maneuver into the roundabout to unload. Therefore, the trucks end up parking in the driveway to unload. When they park in the driveway behind Floyd's, they block traffic moving from the south. When they park in the driveway across from our parking structure, we can't back our cars out of our parking spots. When one truck is parked and unloading by our structure and a second truck tries to pass it, the second truck hits our roof on our parking deck. We've incurred close to $5,000 in damages over the last 4 years from these strikes, which we haven't been able to recoup because we don't have somebody out there spotting these trucks as they hit us. What we've noticed is that there's no signage anywhere in the roundabout or in the driveways indicating where loading zones are, where no parking is allowed. And so it's kind of a free-for-all back there. I've got some pictures for you so that you can visualize this, because it's something to see.
Sure, if you could bring them forward, or somebody can grab them, that'd be great.
Can you grab them? We've contacted the executive director of the LaGrange Point and discussed not having them park their bus back there. They have very graciously agreed to find alternative parking, so we're grateful for that. But what we would appreciate help with is securing the cooperation of the businesses using this area to stop parking in the roundabout and to inform their delivery services that they need to unload in the roundabout, not in the driveway. Clear signage to that effect would really be helpful.
I'm sorry, Lynn, did you say you want the delivery vehicles to stop in the roundabout?
Well, actually, I know if you can visualize this, what they do is they stop on Cosset, reverse, and back into our driveway. But they stop almost as soon as they get their cab into the driveway, they stop and start unloading. So are they in your driveway at this time? Yeah.
And do you have signs saying no truck deliveries, no truck parking?
Well, it's a public driveway.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It's the driveway between our parking area in the back of our building and LaGrange Point, and that driveway comes back into the roundabout where people are parking. Hopefully you can see what we're talking about. If these big semis could just back up a little further so that their butts are in the roundabout, they would give us a lot more room for our vehicles to be able to pull out, and I think might provide a little bit more room for incoming trucks so that they wouldn't keep hitting our parking roof.
Right, and I know there's a lot of businesses there, Blueberry Hill and things. Do you know which businesses are primarily getting deliveries? Is this something?
Well, the restaurants mostly, Prazzano and the Milk Money and anybody needing food and linen. So it's mostly those great big, huge trucks.
Well, thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. I'm sure that we can have both the police department, Charity, Russell, looks like he may have some ideas already on what we can do. And then maybe Nancy might be writing down some notes and working with some of her LGBA members, because I do think that the businesses, want to help the residents. They're trying their best to do that. Sometimes the delivery guys don't have neither the businesses nor the residents. They want to make the deliveries quickly and painlessly for them, and sometimes that needs some police department encouragement to get that to work.
Actually, it's turned out to be a handy place to hide out for these big trucks.
Oh, really?
They take their breaks back there up to 2 hours.
No, that's probably not what we want. So we can look at different ways to address the situation. So thanks again. It's definitely something that I didn't realize was happening. I appreciate you bringing it to the board's attention. We'll do our best to work with, again, the businesses, the residents, and the delivery drivers to have a solution that works.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I just had one other comment. The alley and the turnaround are actually, the turnaround is on private property. It's owned by LaGrange Point. So I don't know if the police respond, you know, they ask us if it's private property or public access. So I don't know if we should call the police if we see a bad situation.
Yeah, I would encourage you to call the police. I think our chief would say the same. You know, we don't mind, the police department doesn't mind coming out extra and saying, you know, we have limited things we can do, and this happens sometimes with neighbor disputes and things like that, where they'll have to say, well, it's a civil issue, but they do not mind coming out and addressing it. And again, if it's a situation that can work, and I do think an officer knocking on a truck driver's window and saying, you really need to move back 3 feet, here's why, that truck driver doesn't want to have too many knocks on the window, so they'll probably start doing it, would be my guess. So I would encourage you to call.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Not seeing any more comments, I would open it up for trustee comments. And Trustee Peterson.
Thank you, President Kukler. I just wanted to say that I was one of the volunteers at Endless Summer, and I was at one of the entrances close to Midway, and there was someone came up to me with, there was a minor altercation, and I do want to say that the police were nearby, and they were very professional. They were very came to the Midway, and they were able to resolve the altercation very quickly. A couple of minutes later, there was a note of a missing child, and before I could look up, one of the police officers was walking by me with a little boy in his arms. So I want to say thank you. It was really nice having you guys right around the corner from me, because I was the one to go get you. So thanks very much, and really enjoyed working with you.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. Trustee Kotinik.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just want to add on to Mr. Palmer's comments about the Endless Summer. So, you know, Steve, you listed a whole litany of people to thank, and certainly well-deserved. But in your nature, you forgot probably the most important person, so I'm going to bring it up. And thank you, because you're the one behind all this. And unfortunately, I was out of town this year and didn't make Endless Summer, but I've been out there in the past. Everywhere I look around, you have your hands in everything, and you're running around. And every orchestra needs a conductor, and we have one of the finest in you. So thank you on behalf of my family and the residents for all the time and effort you put in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Kotinik. Well said. Trustee Eisen.
Thank you. This one's for Chief Cates. The presentation you made tonight was amazing, very sincere, and extremely important for us to hear those kind of things, what you're doing inside to impact reporting and improvements on race and recruiting. And it was so well done and so informative. Once again, I want to encourage any more of that you can bring, because we like to hear that. We all appreciate what you do, but to hear kind of the details and the improvements you've made in a really serious time in America, I feel it sets us apart. It's like you said, we're maybe above and beyond some other departments in terms of the men and women who've signed on to what we're pronouncing here. And it makes me proud to sit up here and look at you and know that that's being done generally behind the scenes, so I appreciate it. And also, one more time, Chief Avra, thanks to you and your guys for what you did the last couple weeks that I'll just keep between us because everybody on your force knows what it was. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. Trustee O'Brien.
I want to thank President Kukler and the entire board for giving me the opportunity to serve on as a trustee. It's an honor, and I really look forward to it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Welcome, and we appreciate it. We appreciate Jennifer waiting through the whole meeting. I'm sure that my wife would have done the same, but thanks. And Jenny from the park boards have stayed too, so he got them both. So thank you, Trustee O'Brien. And seeing no more comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Cortina. Trustee Gale, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted and we are adjourned at 9:45. Thank you very much.